Have you ever felt like your failures define you? Like every mistake is a permanent mark on your journey? What if I told you that your biggest failures might actually be your greatest teachers? Elizabeth Day's book, How to Fail, challenges everything we think about success and failure. This is not just another self-help book. This is a raw, honest conversation about embracing the moments we usually hide from the world. Today, we are going deep into the lessons that can transform how you see yourself, your struggles, and your future. By the end of this video, you will understand why failure is not your enemy. It is your guide. Let's begin. Understanding failure differently. We live in a world obsessed with success. Social media shows us perfect lives. Everyone seems to be winning except us. But here is the truth. Everyone fails. The difference is what we do with those failures. Elizabeth Day created the How to Fail podcast after experiencing her own painful failures. Divorce, fail, IVF attempts, career setbacks. She could have hidden these experiences. Instead, she chose to explore them deeply. The book is built on a simple but powerful idea. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. Every successful person has failed multiple times. The question is not whether you will fail. The question is how you will respond when you do. Think about that for a moment. Your response to failure shapes your entire future. It determines whether you stay stuck or move forward. It decides whether you grow bitter or grow stronger. Failure in relationships. Let's talk about relationships. This is where most of us experience our deepest failures. A breakup can feel like the end of the world. A divorce can shatter our identity. When a relationship ends, we often blame ourselves completely. Day shares her own divorce story with brutal honesty. She describes the shame, the feeling of being broken, the fear of judgment. But through this pain, she discovered something. The end of a relationship is not a failure of character. Sometimes people grow in different directions. Sometimes love is not enough. Here is what matters. Every failed relationship teaches you about yourself. It shows you what you need, what you cannot accept, what patterns you keep repeating. The person who leaves a bad relationship has not failed. They have succeeded in choosing themselves. That takes courage. That takes self-respect. That takes love for who you are becoming. Think about your past relationships. What did each one teach you? The painful truth is that some relationships must end for you to become who you are meant to be. This is not failure. This is growth disguised as loss. It hurts deeply because it matters deeply. But the hurt will not last forever. The lessons will. Failure in career and ambition. Your career path is rarely a straight line. Day explores how professional failures can crush our confidence. Not getting the promotion, being rejected from projects that collapse, business ideas that never take off. Each one stings. Each one makes you question yourself. She interviews successful people who share their career failures. The pattern is clear. Behind every achievement are countless rejections and setbacks. The author who got rejected by 30 publishers. The entrepreneur whose first 3 businesses failed. The actor who auditioned hundreds of times before getting one role. The workplace makes us feel like failure is unacceptable. We must always appear competent and successful. This pressure creates anxiety and prevents real growth. When we cannot admit mistakes, we cannot learn from them. We become rigid. We become afraid. We stop taking risks that could lead to breakthroughs. Here is a powerful shift in thinking. Every job rejection is redirecting you. Every failed project is teaching you what does not work. Your career failures are not wasted time. They are research. They are preparation for what comes next. No brings you closer to the right yes. Ask yourself this. What would you attempt if you knew failure was just information, not judgment? Would you start that business? Would you apply for that position? Would you pitch that idea? Your career failures do not define your capability. They refine it. Failure in fertility and parenthood. This section is deeply personal and painful. Day writes about her failed IVF attempts, the monthly cycle of hope and disappointment. The feeling that her body is failing her. The grief of losing the future she imagined. This is a pain that lives in your bones. It wakes you up at night. It follows you through every baby shower, every pregnancy announcement. Fertility struggles affect millions, but remain hidden. Women blame themselves. They feel broken. They compare themselves to others who get pregnant easily. The pain is physical, emotional, and social. It touches everything. It changes how you see yourself and your place in the world. Day's Home's experience is healing for many readers. She acknowledges that some dreams do not come true the way we want them to. This is a profound failure to accept. Not becoming a parent when you desperately want to be one creates a grief that society does not know how to handle. People say the wrong things. They try to fix it. They do not understand that sometimes there is no fix. But here is what she learned. Your worth is not defined by your ability to have children. Your life has meaning and purpose, regardless of parenthood. The failure is not in your body or your choices. The failure is in a society that tells women their value depends on motherhood. You are complete as you are. Your body is not broken. Your path is just different. For those facing any kind of loss around parenthood, remember this: your grief is valid. Your journey is valid. You are not less than anyone else. You are enough exactly as you are. The love you have to give does not disappear because it cannot go. It finds other ways. It finds other people. It still matters. Failure in fitting in. From childhood, we learn that being different is risky. We try to fit in with friends, family, society. We hide parts of ourselves. We follow paths that others expect us to take. We make ourselves smaller to be accepted. We dim our light so others feel comfortable. Day discusses how trying to be someone you are not is its own kind of failure. The failure of authenticity. You might succeed at being what others want, but you fail at being yourself. And that failure costs you everything that matters. It costs you peace. It costs you joy. It costs you the chance to live your one precious life as your true self. She shares stories of people who spent years living according to others' expectations. The lawyer who wanted to be an artist, the person who hid their sexuality for decades, the woman who followed a traditional path while dreaming of adventure. Each one describes the same feeling. Suffocation. A life that looks good on paper but feels empty inside. The turning point comes when the pain of hiding yourself becomes greater than the fear of showing yourself. This moment feels like failure. You are disappointing people. You are breaking agreements. You are changing the story. But this is actually success. The courage to fail at being who you are not means you can succeed at being who you are. Authenticity requires failing at conformity. It requires saying no to expectations that do not serve you. It requires choosing yourself even when others do not understand. This is terrifying. This is liberating. This is necessary. Who are you pretending to be? What parts of yourself are you hiding? What would happen if you stopped? You might lose some people, but you will find yourself, and that is worth everything. Failure in friendship. Friendships can end as painfully as romantic relationships, sometimes more painfully because we do not expect it. Day explores why and what we can learn. These losses often catch us off guard or do not see them coming until they are already gone. Sometimes friends grow apart naturally. Different life stages, different values, different paths. One person gets married, another stays single. One has children, another does not. The connection that once felt effortless becomes forced. Conversations feel hollow. Plans feel obligatory. The friendship becomes a memory you are both clinging to instead of a living thing. Other times, friendships end because of betrayal, misunderstanding, or incompatibility that was always there. A friend who is competitive rather than supportive. A friendship built on shared complaints rather than shared joy. A dynamic where one person always gives and the other always takes. These patterns become unsustainable. Eventually, someone walks away, or the friendship just fades. Losing the friend can trigger deep shame. We wonder what is wrong with us. Why can we not maintain relationships? The truth is more complex. Not every friendship is meant to last forever. Some people are in your life for a season, not a lifetime. They come when you need them. They teach you something. Then their role in your story ends. The failure in friendship teaches you about boundaries, reciprocity, and who you want in your inner circle. It shows you what kind of friend you are and what kind you want to be. These lessons are painful, but necessary. They help you build better friendships going forward. Evaluate your friendships. Fit enough, young enough. The goalposts keep moving. The standards keep changing. We can never quite measure up. Day addresses how these perceived failures affect mental health and self-worth. The constant comparison, the never-ending pursuit of physical perfection, the belief that happiness awaits at a certain weight or appearance. We tell ourselves that when we finally fix our bodies, then we can start living. Then we can feel confident. Then we can be happy. She interviews people who have struggled with eating disorders, body dysmorphia, and self-hatred. The common thread is the belief that their body is failing them, or they are failing their body. They describe looking in the mirror and seeing only flaws. They describe the exhaustion of constant monitoring and controlling. They describe missing out on life because they felt too fat, too ugly, too unacceptable to participate. But here is the shift. Your body is not an ornament. It is not a project. Your body is the vessel you through life. It deserves respect and care, regardless of how it looks. It breathes for you. It heals for you. It moves you through the world. It feels pleasure and pain. It holds your memories and your scars. The failure is not in your body. The failure is in a culture that profits from your insecurity. Every time you accept your body as it is, you fail at being a consumer of diet culture. This is a failure worth celebrating. This is rebellion. This is freedom. What would change if you stopped fighting your body and started thanking it? What if you treated it with kindness instead of criticism? What if you measured your worth by who you are instead of how you look? Your body is the least interesting thing about you. Your mind, your heart, your spirit, these matter so much more. Failure in mental health. Mental health struggles often feel like personal failures. Depression makes you feel like you are failing at happiness. Anxiety makes you feel like you are failing at. These conditions lie to you about who you are. They whisper that you are weak, broken, defective. They isolate you in shame. Day discusses her own experiences with anxiety and how it affected her life and relationships. The shame of not being able to control your own mind. The exhaustion of pretending everything is fine. The fear that you are fundamentally broken. She describes panic attacks that came from nowhere. Sleepless nights spent worrying about things that never happened. The weight of carrying invisible pain. But mental health conditions are not character flaws. They are not evidence that you are weak or inadequate. They are health conditions that require treatment and compassion. You have not failed because your brain chemistry is challenging. You would not blame yourself for diabetes or a broken bone. Mental illness deserves the same understanding. Seeking help is not admitting defeat. It is choosing survival and growth. Therapy, medication, lifestyle changes. These are tools, not failures. The real failure would be suffering in silence because of shame. Asking for help takes courage. Getting treatment takes strength. Showing up for yourself when your brain is telling you not to, that is heroic. Many successful people manage mental health conditions. Their achievements are not despite their struggles, but often because of the depth and empathy those struggles created. The artist who channels pain into beauty. The therapist who helps others because they know darkness. The leader who creates compassionate workplaces because they understand suffering. Your mental health journey is not a failure. It is proof that you are fighting for yourself. Every day you survive is a victory. Every small step forward counts. Be patient with yourself. Healing is not linear. There will be setbacks, but you are still here. You are still trying. That matters more than you know. Failure in financial security. Money anxiety affects most people. Not having enough feels like a personal failure. Debt feels shameful. Not reaching financial goals creates stress and comparison. We judge ourselves harshly when we struggle financially. Day explores how our relationship with money is tied to our sense of self-worth. We judge ourselves and others based on financial success. We hide financial struggles. We pretend we are doing better than we are. We put purchases on credit cards to maintain an image. We avoid talking about money because it feels too vulnerable. But financial situations are often affected by circumstances beyond individual control. Economic conditions, family background, unexpected crises, systemic inequality. Blaming yourself completely for financial difficulties ignores these realities. You did not create student loan debt alone. You did not cause the housing crisis. You did not design a system where wages have not kept pace with costs. The lessons from financial failure are practical. Learn to budget, understand your patterns, seek advice, make changes, but also practice self-compassion. Your worth is not your bank account. You are not more valuable when you have more money. You are not less valuable when you have less. Some of the wealthiest people are miserable. Some people with very little are content. Money matters for survival and security, but it does not determine your value as a human being. It does not measure your kindness, your intelligence, your creativity, your love. Those things cannot be bought or sold. What financial failure teaches is resourcefulness, priorities, and resilience. It teaches you what truly matters. It shows you who stays when things get hard. It develops skills you would never learn in comfort. These lessons serve you regardless of your income level. Failure in education and intelligence. Not everyone thrives in traditional education systems. Some people struggle academically despite being intelligent in other ways. Failing exams or not completing degrees can create lasting shame. It can make you feel stupid when you are not. Day discusses how narrow definitions of intelligence and success harm people. The school system values certain skills and ignores others. You might be brilliant at creative problem solving, but terrible at standardized tests. Does this make you a failure? You might understand people deeply, but struggle with math. Does this make you less intelligent? Many successful people did poorly in school. They found their path through different routes. Their education happened through experience, curiosity, and persistence, rather than formal credentials. Einstein struggled in school. Richard Branson has dyslexia. Steve Jobs dropped out of college. Their academic failures did not predict their life success. The failure in education teaches you that there are multiple paths to knowledge and success. It teaches you to find your own way of learning. It shows you that paper qualifications do not define your intelligence or potential. The smartest people never went to university. Some of the least wise have multiple degrees. If you struggled in school, you are not stupid. You simply learn differently or value different things. Your path might be unconventional, but that does not make it less valid. Intelligence comes in many forms. Street smarts, emotional intelligence, creative thinking, practical skills. These all matter. Do not let one system tell you who you are. Failure in expectations versus reality. We all have expectations about how life should unfold. By 30, you should be married. By 40, you should own a home. You should have your career figured out. You should be happy. These timelines haunt us. They make us feel behind when we are just on our own schedule. When reality does not match these expectations, we feel like failures. Day examines how these arbitrary timelines create unnecessary suffering. Who decided these rules? Why do we accept them? Where did this script come from? Why are? The gap between expectation and reality is where disappointment lives, but it is also where freedom can be found. When you release rigid expectations, you can appreciate what is actually happening in your life. You can see opportunities you were missing because you were focused on what was supposed to happen. Someone else's timeline is not your timeline. Someone else's definition of success is not yours. The failure to meet expectations that were never yours to begin with is actually a success in authenticity. You are living your life, not performing someone else's idea of a good life. What expectations are you carrying that do not serve you? The expectation to be married by a certain age, the expectation to have a certain career, the expectation to want children, the expectation to be happy all the time. What if you created your own definition of a life well lived? What would that look like? Failure as information. Here is a core concept from the book. Failure is. Every failure contains information about what does not work, what needs adjustment, what to avoid, what to try differently. This is the mindset shift that changes everything. When you remove the emotional charge from failure and see it as data, everything changes. Scientists fail constantly. Each failed experiment tells them something. They do not take it personally. They adjust and try again. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It is a step towards success. Apply this mindset to your life. That relationship that ended, gave you information about compatibility and communication. That job you did not get gave you information about interview skills or career direction. That business that failed gave you information about market needs or timing. Each failure taught you something valuable. Failure is only permanent if you stop trying. Otherwise, it is just one step in a longer process. The people who succeed are not those who never fail. They are those with learn, adjust, and continue. They treat failure as temporary. They see setbacks as redirections. They understand that every no brings them closer to yes. Start viewing your failures as your education. What has each one taught you? How have you grown because of them? You are wiser now than before you failed. You are stronger. You are more prepared for what comes next. That knowledge has value even when it came through pain. People you feel closest to. Chances are you have seen them struggle. You have seen it fail. This does not make you respect them less. It makes them real to you. It makes them human. Their vulnerability invites yours. Their honesty creates safety for your honesty. Your failures make you relatable and human. Hiding them creates distance. Sharing them appropriately creates intimacy and trust. The courage to be vulnerable about failure is the courage to be seen fully. Not just your highlight reel, not just your successes, all of you. The messy, struggling, imperfect, trying human that you are. Who in your life knows about your real struggles? Who sees you beyond the carefully curated version? Those are your true connections. Those are the relationships that sustain you. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the birthplace of love and belonging. Failure and resilience. Resilience is not about never falling down. It is about getting back up. Every failure is an opportunity to build. Each time you survive something you thought would destroy you, you become stronger. You prove to yourself that you can handle hard things. Day emphasizes that resilience is not innate. It is developed through experience. You cannot become resilient without facing difficulties. Failure is the training ground for resilience. It teaches you that you are tougher than you think. It shows you that endings are not the end. People who have never failed often crumble when they finally do. They have no experience with recovery. They do not know they can survive hard things because they have never had to. People who have failed repeatedly develop confidence in their ability to survive and rebuild. They know the terrain. They trust themselves. Your past failures prove you can handle future ones. You have survived everything that has happened to you so far. 100% of your bad days. You have gotten through. This track record matters. You are more capable than you realize. Stronger than your fears tell you. What failures have you already survived? How did you get through them? These are your resources for future challenges. Remember the divorce you thought would break you. Remember the job loss that felt devastating. Remember the rejection that crushed you. You survived all of it. You are still here. You are resilient even when you do not feel it. Failure and self-compassion. The way you speak to yourself about failure matters immensely. Many people have a harsh inner critic that attacks them for every mistake. This voice does not motivate improvement. It creates paralysis and shame. It makes you smaller and more afraid. Day advocates for self-compassion as an antidote to this cruelty. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a good friend. When you fail, instead of attacking yourself, you acknowledge the pain and respond with care. You say, "This is hard. I am struggling. I need support." This does not mean using harmful behavior or avoiding responsibility. It means recognizing that you are human and humans make mistakes. Self-compassion creates space for growth rather than punishment. It allows learning instead of hiding. It encourages trying again instead of giving up. Research shows that self-compassion actually improves performance and motivation more than self-criticism. When you feel safe with yourself, you are more willing to take risks and try new things. When you know you will not destroy yourself for failing, you are free to attempt difficult things. How do you speak to yourself when you fail? Would you speak to someone you love that way? Probably not. You would be kind. You would be understanding. You would remind them that everyone makes mistakes. You would encourage them to learn and try again. Give yourself that same grace. What would change if you offered yourself compassion instead of criticism? You would suffer less. You would recover faster. You would be braver. would be happier. Self-compassion is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. It is survival. It is necessary. Failure in perfectionism. Perfectionism is not about excellence. It is about fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of rejection. Fear of not being enough. Perfectionists set impossible standards and then feel like failures when they cannot meet them. It is a rigged game where they always lose. Day discusses how perfectionism prevents action and creates misery. The perfect essay that never gets written because it might not be perfect. The business idea that never launches because it is not fully developed. The apology that never happens because the words are not exactly right. Perfectionism keeps you stuck in planning mode, never reaching doing mode. Perfectionism is a form of self-protection that backfires. It keeps you small and safe, but also stuck and unfulfilled. If you never try, you can never fail. But you also never succeed. You never grow. You never know what you are. The failure of perfectionism is that it prevents you from living fully. The antidote is accepting that done is better than perfect. Progress matters more than perfection. Your imperfect action creates more value than your perfect inaction. A book with flaws that gets published helps more people than a perfect book but stays in your head. A messy start is better than no start. What are you not doing because you are waiting for perfect conditions? What would you start if good enough was acceptable? The truth is, perfect conditions never come. You will never feel completely ready. You will never have all the answers. Start anyway. Adjust as you go. Learn by doing. Failure and comparison. Social media has amplified comparison culture. We constantly see others' successes and compare them to our failures. This creates a distorted view where everyone else seems to be winning while we are struggling. It is a poison that steals joy and creates inadequacy. Day reminds us that we compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. We see their success, but not their failures. We see their vacation photos, but not their daily struggles. We see their promotion, but not the rejections that came before. This comparison is fundamentally unfair and always makes us feel worse. Moreover, even when we achieve something, comparison steals the joy. There is always someone doing it better, faster, bigger. If your sense of success depends on being better than others, you will never feel successful enough. The goalpost keeps moving. The competition never ends. You exhaust yourself chasing validation that never satisfies. The solution is to compete with yourself. Are you growing? Are you learning? Are you moving toward your own goals? That is what matters. Someone else's achievement does not diminish yours. There is room for everyone to succeed. Another person's light does not dim your light. Who are you comparing yourself to? What would happen if you stopped? Why? Would feel lighter. You would appreciate your own progress. You would celebrate others without feeling threatened. You would define success on your own terms. Comparison is the thief of joy. Stop giving it access to your peace. Failure in asking for help. Many people see asking for help as admitting failure. We believe we should be able to handle everything ourselves. Independence is valued. Needing others is seen as weakness. So we struggle alone until we cannot anymore. But humans are social creatures. We need each other. Asking for help is not weakness. It is wisdom. It recognizes that no one can do everything alone. The people who achieve the most are usually those with strong support systems. They know when to delegate. They know when to lean on others. Day discusses how pride prevents people from asking for help until they're in crisis. By then, the help needed is much more intensive. A small problem that could have been solved with a conversation becomes a major issue required. Asking for help early prevents small problems from becoming overwhelming. Think about what you are struggling with right now. Who could help? What prevents you from asking? Often, it is fear of judgment or rejection, but most people want to help when asked directly. They feel honored to be trusted. They want to contribute. Your request gives them purpose. Failing to ask for help when you need it is actually failing yourself. It is choosing to suffer needlessly. It is refusing the support that is available. Give others the opportunity to show up for you. Let people help. Accept that you cannot do everything alone. None of us can. Failure and growth mindset. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset versus fixed mindset is relevant here. A fixed mindset believes abilities are static. You either have talent or you do not. Failure proves you lack ability. This mindset makes you avoid challenges and give up easily. A growth mindset believes abilities can be developed. Failure, part of the learning process. You might not be good at something yet, but you can improve with effort and practice. This mindset makes you embrace challenges and persist through difficulties. Day incorporates this concept throughout the book. The way you interpret failure determines its impact. If failure means you are inadequate, you will avoid challenges. You will play it safe. You will never discover your potential. If failure means you are learning, you will embrace challenges. You will take risks. You will grow beyond what you thought possible. Successful people tend to have growth mindsets. They see failure as temporary and specific, not permanent and global. They believe effort matters. They persist through difficulties. They understand that talent is just the starting point. Hard work and learning create mastery. You can develop a growth mindset by changing your internal narrative. Replace "I failed" with "I learned." Replace "I cannot do this" with "I cannot do this yet." Replace "I am bad at this" with "I am still learning this." These small shifts change everything. They transform failure from a verdict into a process. Failure in control. We like to believe we have more control than we actually do. We think if we just work hard enough, plan well enough, we can prevent failure. Then, when failure happens, we blame ourselves completely. We torture ourselves with what-ifs and should-haves. But life includes randomness and circumstances beyond our control. Sometimes you do everything right and still fail. The economy crashes. Someone gets sick. Natural disasters happen. Other people make choices that affect you. Timing is off. Luck does not go your way. Day encourages acceptance of what we cannot control while focusing effort on what we can control. You cannot control outcomes, but you can control effort, attitude, and response. You cannot control other people, but you can control your boundaries and choices. You cannot control the past, but you can control what you do next. The failure to accept the limits of your control creates unnecessary suffering. It makes you feel responsible for things that are not your fault. This is exhausting and ineffective. It keeps you stuck in rumination instead of moving forward. It drains energy that could be used for actual problem solving. What are you trying to control that you actually cannot? Other people's opinions? The outcome of situations involving multiple factors? The past? What would it feel like to let that go? To focus only on your own choices and responses. That is where your power lives. That is what actually matters. Failure and reinvention. Some failures destroy the life you had built. A major career setback, a serious health crisis, a significant relationship ending. These failures force reinvention. They burn down your old life and ask you to build a new one from the ashes. Everything you thought you knew about yourself gets questioned, but it is also liberating. When your old identity fails, you can create a new one. When your old path closes, you can find a different one. You are not stuck with who you were. Day shares stories of people who reinvented themselves after major failures. The executive who became a teacher. The athlete whose injury led to a new career. The person whose divorce led to self-discovery. Each describes the terror of not knowing who they are anymore, but also the excitement of discovering who they can become. These reinventions would not have happened without failure. The failure was painful, but necessary for transformation. Sometimes you must lose who you were to become who you are meant to be. Sometimes the life you planned must fall apart so the life waiting for you can emerge. If you are facing a failure that requires reinvention, know this. It will be hard, but you will survive. You might even discover that the new version of your life is better than the old one in ways you cannot imagine yet. The butterfly cannot imagine flight from inside the cocoon. Trust the transformation. even when it hurts. Failure in timing. Sometimes you fail because the timing is wrong. You were ready, but the opportunity was not. Or the opportunity existed, but you were not ready yet. This type of failure is particularly frustrating because it feels like it should have worked. Everything lined up except the timing. Day discusses how timing is often invisible in stories of success. We hear about the achievement, but not about the failed attempts that came before, or the lucky timing that made it possible. We do not hear about the years of preparation. We do not hear about the opportunities that came too early or too late. Being patient with timing is difficult in a culture that values speed and instant results, but forced timing often leads to. Some things need time to develop. Seeds need seasons. Ideas need incubation. Skills need practice. Relationships need foundation. You cannot rush what needs time. Trust that there is a rhythm to life that you cannot always see or control. What feels like failure now might be redirection towards something better. The job you did not get might have been wrong for you. The relationship that ended might have been blocking your path to the right one. The opportunity that passed might have come before you were truly ready. Timing failures teach patience and trust in the process. They teach you to prepare during waiting periods. They show you that delay is not denial. Sometimes no just means not yet. Sometimes failure just means the timing is wrong. Keep working, keep growing, keep preparing. Your time will come. Elizabeth Day's How to Fail gives us permission to be human, to mess up, to fall short, to not have it all figured out. And in that permission, there is tremendous freedom and power. Your failures do not define you. Your response to them does. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Every mistake is a lesson in disguise. Every closed door redirects you toward an open one. Stop running from failure. Start learning from it. The life you want is on the other side of the failures you are afraid of. Embrace them. Grow from them. Let them shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. You are not your failures. You are what you do with them, and that makes all the difference. Thank you for watching.